Ah, the full moon. It's been a long time, but my curse must continue. Well, not so much a curse as much as like a thing I do voluntarily for fun, but, you know.
There were some movies, terrible movies, movies so awful, no one would touch. Then came a Matthew, sad little Matthew. Matthew decided these movies to watch. For every good movie, there's at least 10 bad. Matthew gonna drag himself through the crap to find the worst ones there are to be had.
Today's episode, Ooga Booga. Hello, Internet. I'm called Matt. It's been a long time since I talked about Full Moon, and I know I still have a couple more Evil Bong movies to get through, plus the review for Evil Bong 3 seems to have gotten lost somewhere. I'll look into that. But, before we move on with that series, I have to talk about a spin-off to another movie that I already reviewed, because it crosses over with Evil Bong 4. Fucking Full Moon. Ooga Booga is, of course, based on the runaway star of the hit film Doll Graveyard. I don't know, I think they just like the puppet? I don't know why, it's a kind of racist, you know. Of course, Charles Band directed, and writing credit is given to Kent Rosenbusch, a frequent Full Moon collaborator. Worked on a lot of the Evil Bong movies. They do not credit Dominique Muir, the writer of Doll Graveyard, who originated the character. But he died like 3 years before this movie came out, so too bad, so sad, Dominique. Though perhaps the people they should have credited are William F. Nolan and Richard Matheson, the writers of Trilogy of Terror. See, Trilogy of Terror was a fairly popular TV movie from the 1970s. It was a horror anthology, and one of the segments, and by far the most popular one, was about an African doll coming to life and killing people. Now, in Doll Graveyard, that's a coincidence, maybe an homage, not in a standalone Ooga Booga movie. That has breached blatant territory, especially when they got Trilogy of Terror star Karen Black to appear in a scene in this film. She is not the main character, in fact it's the old Full Moon classic of probably only one day of filming, but that won't stop Full Moon from giving her top billing. Black actually has a lot of classic movies under her belt. Easy Rider, Nashville, 5 Easy Pieces. She's my favorite character in the underrated classic Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, Jimmy Dean. Of course, she was also in Scott Shaw's Rollerblade 7, so a Full Moon movie is not the low point of her career. And she's not the only talent they roped into this, as Stacy Keach appears in this movie. This came out the same year he was in Nebraska, a Best Picture nominee. Dude, why? Then again, Charles Band just directed a Best Picture winner. There's another weird thing. This film came out in 2013, 8 years after Doll Graveyard, and it doesn't really mention Doll Graveyard, so it's almost like they just wanted to do a Trilogy of Terror thing and dug up a character to fit. Who knows? Now, before we begin, I'd like to thank Josh Volchko, one of my lovely patrons over on Patreon. Thank you, Josh, for your patronage. Do you like my show? Consider supporting me. Don't like my show? Consider helping it improve. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Just $1 a month gets you these episodes one day early. And with that, let's get into the Doll Graveyard pseudo spin-off that doesn't actually follow the continuity of Doll Graveyard, Ooga Booga.
Pull up your overalls, Piggy Wiggies. It's Hambo time.
Hambo is so fine, and Hambo is a swine. Hambo the wretched, I'll always give you mine.
Was not expecting this film to start like that, but okay. So we start the show on the set of Hambo the Clown, and I got no beef with clowns, but this thing is ugly. I guess that's the joke, but it does nothing for the watchability of the scenes he's in. And he's jerking off. Good. Glad this is how I spend my time. At least that's not a fucking cookie this time.
Those wonderful children are out there waiting on their hero.
Hambo is no one's hero. That's not his real nose, right? Like, it's falling off in most of these scenes. Like, even diegetically, that's supposed to be fake, right? And then he just straight up sexually harasses his co-host and gets fired. Then we meet Donna and Devin. Devin just passed his exam and now he's a doctor.
Your mama worked 3 jobs so that you can have the opportunities that she never had. That most of us never had back in the day and still don't.
That's where we have a difference in opinion.
Really?
Look, we all have opportunities in front of us. But you gotta put down the Xbox, gold teeth, and dreams of restitution to take advantage of them.
Full Moon, put down the social commentary. You're not responsible enough to handle it. And for some reason, Devin and Hambo are friends? Why? How did they even meet? I also want to point out how poorly tracked this sound effect is. So Hambo's new idea for making money is a series of racist and otherwise offensive dolls.
I see we got the gook.
This film actually predates Ginger Dead Man vs. Evil Bong by a little, but in that film we clearly see the Gook was based on a real guy. Of course, Ooga Booga is based on a real doll from the 1900s in this universe, presumably. Then Hambo takes the time to specifically mention every doll, because they're all available on Full Moon's website. And that's what sort of rubs me the wrong way about these dolls. Like, if they were just offensive, but then it was like the offensive character making and selling them, I'd be fine with it. But then Full Moon is also actually selling them, and it seems like they've just sort of invented this character to get away with selling really offensive dolls. But hey, speaking of Full Moon merch, this gas station is selling something from Charles Band's Evil Bong, which canonically happens in this universe. Continuity much? Although I guess I can't expect consistency between movies when this guy asked for squirties,
You guys got squirties?
but he gets a slurshie. It's the same scene.
It's a celebration. Yeah.
Celebrate by drinking out of a bucket. Some robbers show up and shoot the guy at the register, like, in the head. And Dr. Devin tries to save him without doing any, like, basic first aid stuff. Like applying pressure to the wound. Stuff most people, but especially doctors, should know. Well, they might not know what doctors do, but they know what police do.
You need to shut up and keep your hands where I can see them. You animals.
I called you guys.
Uh-huh, sure you did.
He's dying. He may already be dead.
We heard your confession when we walked in here.
Confession? You think I did this?
One dead kid. One living black kid. Easy math.
And you know, not that I disagree, but that feels like a message Full Moon should not be making. Especially in a film as offensive as Ooga Booga. And then he just shoots Devin. Oh, and the broken slurshie machine transfers Devin's soul into Ooga Booga. Okay, in Doll Graveyard, Ooga Booga, first off, was a doll from, like, the early 1900s, not something Hambo invented. But secondarily, he was one of a few dolls that was cursed by, like, this demon girl. Did not have the soul of another person in him. Why would you rewrite this character's backstory and just retcon Doll Graveyard out of existence? Did you just want to do, like, a Trilogy of Terror thing with, like, a police brutality angle? And you're like, well, fuck, we already have, like, the African doll character. We'll just bring that puppet back and Forget about that other movie he was in. Secondarily, heavy Child's Play vibes, though to be fair, not as egregious as Ginger Dead Man. Stacy Keach shows up and is kinda racist.
You honkies will be sitting in a jail cell next to every coon and spick we sent there. They'd be happy as shit to see you. Yeah, and you know, I don't think that I could have even gotten you out of this jam. And even if I could, you'd have one severely stretched bunghole by the time I did.
Still the best part of this movie. Aren't you supposed to do lines of cocaine? Probably a little easier than just snorting a giant pile of it. And don't you dare tell me Charles Band doesn't know how to do cocaine. The robbers are celebrating getting off scot-free as part of the police cover-up. And since they stole the security tape, there's no proof they were there. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Dude, it's an expression. Why would you do that? You know that shit's flammable. And also, like, not really a good thing to smoke. What are you doing? Ooga Booga, or, you know what? Devin. I'm calling him Devin. Devin scares the shit out of Donna by showing up at their apartment in doll form. But he shows it's him by carving his name in the table.
So how did you get in that?
I feel that. So Devin's racist neighbor comes over and shit, I have that exact lamp. Oh, and Devin kills him.
I think Boner here should take the first stab.
Woo! I said I was gonna try to review movies with less rape in them. But, here we are. And I can't just ignore it, cause, like, it's so fucking poorly executed. First off, it's the convenience store robbers, so characters Devin already has reason to kill, and then he doesn't, like, show up to stop them. If at the very least he had killed them before they could do anything, I'd write this off as cliché, but no big deal. But no, this movie just has a rape scene for no fucking reason. Just to make you dislike these characters a little bit more. And even worse, they give the character who just got raped a nude scene directly after she got raped. And Devin shows up and, I quit. No, seriously, I quit. I'm not even finishing the review. I fucking quit.